It's the best time of the year. The leaves are turning, sweaters emerging from closets, the decorations, the pumpkins, the candy, and most importantly, the movies. It's the time of year where everyone gathers around to collectively watch horror. A wonderful mix of tradition, greatest hits, as well as new favorites. All month long, leading up to Halloween. Hey, I'm Hound, and it's been a while since I've seen you. I've mostly been trying to enjoy life a little bit more. I lost 85 pounds since last time, and I am finally considered within a healthy range for my height for the first time in like 10 years. I got my teeth removed. I've been spending a lot of time with my partner watching anime, and we recently went to go see Landmarks. I greatly enjoyed my first time playthroughs of Fallout 4 and Skyrim.
Turn back, traveler.
And recently got addicted to Counter-Strike. But it's October, so you know what that means. Not only is it finally feeling better outside and I can actually breathe, but it's the time that everyone comes together in unison to binge horror and horror-related media, also known as the best time of year, Halloween. As I continue to struggle with depression, each year I find it just a little bit harder to slip into the Halloween spirit, which sucks because Halloween is kind of the only holiday that I celebrate, and I do really enjoy everything about this time of the year. Anhedonia is a bitch. So what I've done for more than a few years now, turning sort of into my own kind of tradition, is I have a rotating list of movies that I put on for the month of October, consisting of some of what I believe to be absolute staples for Halloween. Pumpkinhead, the Scooby-Doo movies, Creepshow, Monster Squad, Trick or Treat, and so on. A healthy mix of Halloween, autumn, and of course, nostalgia. But it kind of hasn't been updated in a while, and while I was pondering what other movies I should really be adding to the list, I had a thought. Do they really have to be movies? I've always been more of a movie person. I'm not big on reading, and I do love music, but when it comes to storytelling, movies are just the pinnacle for me specifically. When discussing or watching TV shows, I always have a few common gripes with the medium, on top of the huge time sink that they can be, that tarnishes them and get in the way of me even engaging with a lot of what it has to offer. Succinctly, those gripes are drawn-out stories, seemingly flaunting their absurd length season after season, several spin-offs that are still going to this day. Not only would it take months or years to fully experience the story, but when does it ever end? I crave closure and conclusiveness. It's the biggest issue I have with TV shows, that they seem to continue for the sake of continuing. That as long as the money's pouring in, they'll keep telling a never-ending story, most of the time sacrificing what could have been a wonderful, concise one. Next up is bad seasonal arcs. This is my usual issue with heavily serialized TV shows that barely feature any fluff. Everything going on revolves around the main seasonal arc. So when that arc happens to be bad, or not interesting, the show starts to drag. And you throw on episodes and disengage in order to kind of fast forward until it might get interesting again. Now that I'm hearing this back, it's less so the bad seasonal arcs themselves, but that with shows that are primarily seasonal, having minimal to no filler, there's nothing left to chew on for long stretches of time when that season's arc isn't interesting. Basically, these TV shows tell you, oh, you're not digging this season's story? Tough shit. And finally, it's their perpetual nature. Due to constant renewal and new seasons needing to come out, there's a weird need to keep raising the stakes, power creeping until the big bad or story is comically disproportionate, the frequent wiping of the slate of the character development, and how arcs can seem to be made up on the spot with how back and forth decisions can be. Okay, you might be thinking, yeah, these serialized ongoing TV shows are clearly not your gig. And yeah, But what about purely episodic shows or miniseries? Purely episodic is basically just anthology shows, and yeah, I love me some Courage the Cowardly Dog and Tales from the Crypt. Picking out some of your favorites is also easy since they're all self-contained, so throwing them on for Halloween is great. No issues there besides the natural hit-and-miss nature of anthologies, which is just part of the charm in my opinion. You don't have to watch every episode, and everyone's got their own favorites. As far as miniseries go, yeah, that's my shit. Obvious downside is it's very hard to get me, or really anyone, to devote 8+ hours to something, but most miniseries I have seen were overall pleasant experiences. One of my favorite pieces of media ever is the HBO miniseries Chernobyl, especially the first episode, which is truly just a special experience in terms of filmmaking, and I love rewatching it by itself. The biggest positive to miniseries is that they don't fall victim to the perpetual nature that I discussed. They're essentially movies that have been given a lot more room for nuance with their characters and their story. So now that we've gone over my general feelings towards televised media, what about Buffy? First, a quick story. There was a period of about 2 months that I was hiking 3 miles a day, and while doing that, I tend to just throw on a random album. That's almost an hour straight of the same half-mile trail, looped 6 times, with nothing but music playing. And I began to notice, when I would put on an album like Parkway Drive's Deep Blue, Lorna Shore's Pain Remains, or After the Burial's Evergreen, my mind would start to wander, and the walk suddenly felt much longer than it actually was. They're all fantastic albums with amazing songs, but little in the way of variance. However, I would soon gravitate towards putting on albums that have an ebb and flow to them, peaks and valleys of tone and theme and general sound of influence and direction. Albums like Sleep Token's Even in Arcadia, Poppy's Negative Spaces, Spiritbox's Tsunami Sea, or even Left to Suffer's Leap of Death, bringing with them that variance that is so sorely missed while performing such a monotonous task as looping the same trail 6 times every single day. And that's when it kinda clicked for me. Buffy is not perfect. It's a serialized TV show that is rather hit and miss with its overarching plots, but it manages to walk a fine line, balancing its episodic entries and integrating them into the larger themes and arcs surrounding its individual seasons. Having, of course, its longer story plots and arcs alongside extensive character development and exploration with episodic Monster of the Week segments peppered in, and sometimes liberally peppered. I like pepper. Giving us bite-sized stories with their own resolutions and relevant themes that are often used by the writers to greatly expand on its cast of characters. It's those fluff episodes, the ups and downs and the peaks and the valleys of the show that are what make the viewing experience so much better, in my opinion. Even if you're not into the individual arcs themselves, you'll have tons of these fluff episodes that break up the monotony, some of which are phenomenal in and of themselves and make you excited to see them, and, of course, share them with people. On rewatches and in showing my girlfriend the series, I really wanted to skip a lot of episodes, mostly worried that she would want to stop watching if the one episode that we watched that day wasn't that great. But I found that it's actually really hard to justify skipping episodes. Besides Ted, it's hard to skip Buffy episodes because nearly all of them develop the characters with step-by-step progression of the main plot or character arcs, and just getting to see everyone interact and flourish is kind of the whole draw of the show for me. Like seeing Cordelia slowly connect with Xander, the very slow dripping of Willow's magic problem, the endearing of Spike, and the moments between Giles and Buffy. It's these moments woven inside these fluff episodes that truly make the show stand out and makes them so important. Even one of the most skipped episodes, Teacher's Pet, can't really be skipped, not only because fuck you, Cinderella's hot.
Too bad you will die.
But it sets up the first of many times that Xander will be preyed upon by supernatural baddies. It's also a conversation piece on the continued societal leniency towards female teachers preying on minors, portraying the predator as a literal praying mantis. So, when you really get down to it, there are no fully skippable episodes. There's always an important character introduced, plot point revealed, or character dynamic explored that makes them all worthwhile, if not necessary viewing. That, combined with the authentic humanity that it gives its characters, is what I believe to be the true strength of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You may have noticed, but I've already started referring to these snacky episodes as fluff. Ones that can be viewed in a single sitting with maybe some knowledge on the series, but it's not too important. A self-contained beginning, middle, and end with a smidge of main storyline stuff thrown in, usually focused on characters' internal struggles or interpersonal dynamics. And these are the best episodes to just throw on, in my opinion, as well as being a great gateway for getting people into the series. Coincidentally, they also work great for viewing on Halloween. Honestly, given that Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a supernatural-based show with tons of humor
What's that do?
mixed with its horror, you could watch the entire show during this time of the year. But not everybody has time for a rewatch, especially when there's so many great movies to be putting on as well, like Pumpkinhead, or if you're obsessed with werewolves like me, like Bad Moon, or American Werewolf in Paris. Thus, I kind of wanted to compile a list of essentially the greatest hits of Buffy, for when you don't want to or have the time to binge the whole series or devote your attention to a whole season, but you still want your bite-sized Buffy stories for Halloween. Or whenever, really. It's just a Halloween episode. So, I would like you to join me as we go through and select some of those standout episodes as we all get into the Halloween spirit. The criteria will be simple. Sticking to the criteria, however, will not be, as it turned into more or less a shitty Venn diagram. Halloweeny. Of course. Standalone, not needing too much greater context and not heavily integrated into a larger arc. But most importantly, they need to be fun. Let's get started. In this season, we watch as the Scoobs fight their share of supernatural threats, as Buffy tries to manage life as a normal teenage girl by day and vampire slayer by night.
There are just some things about being a vampire slayer that the older generation...
With the weight of the world resting on her shoulders. Featuring possibly my favorite big bad of the series, the flamboyantly camp The Master.
Glory! Glory! What do you think? 5.1?
A perfectly scaled antagonist for a young Slayer. Season 1 does a great job of laying the foundation for the series, and focuses on introducing us to the main and supporting cast with episodic entries that piece by piece flesh out our characters until we're ready for longer arcs and development in the later seasons. Like with Cordelia, for example, we can't really have an endearment arc for her until we've kind of set with her mean streak for a little bit.
What is your childhood trauma?
And that's what this first season does so well. It solidifies the core of the characters before things start to change and develop that will be handled in the later seasons. Of course, season 1 is also by far the campiest and cringiest season of all.
I'm jacked in.
But that's all a part of the charm. I've said it before, but we're all horror fans here. We tend to roll with the abject silliness of a lot of the premises, and the first season of Buffy is full of those.
Everybody turn to page 54 of your texts.
Real quick though, I have written this video with the idea that someone watching will have seen Buffy already. However, I've also done my best to keep the big major spoilers out as much as they can be while discussing things seasons down the line. If you're interested in starting Buffy and you're like me and want to start from the beginning, I have a general speedrun strat that looks like this. You watch the core episodes, but after episode 2 you read the synopsis for the remainder to see if you might be interested in them and pick however many of those that you want to see. It's pretty simple. Mine usually looks a little something like this, so. But if you've never seen Buffy, don't worry. I don't think that will hinder your viewing of this video, and I urge you to check out really just any episode that catches your eye. That's why they're good and here in this list, because they can pull someone into the show and make them a fan. So let's talk about Buffy. Season 1, Episode 1 and 2, Welcome to the Hellmouth and the Harvest. The opening of Buffy the Vampire Slayer shows two teenagers, sort of, breaking in and walking around a high school when something goes bump in the night. But the coast is clear as the woman turns into a vampire and bites her date. Cut to Buffy Summers, who has just moved to Sunnydale. Still being haunted by prophetic dreams, she wants to take the opportunity to go back to her normal life as a high schooler.
You burned down the gym.
Making new friends, attempts to be popular, adjusting to the curriculum. But when she heads to the library, she finds out that her past may have followed her. And when a body is found stuffed in a locker,
Oh, great.
As it turns out, her new school is placed directly on top of the Hellmouth, a center for supernatural occurrences. It's up to Buffy to accept her role, as she realizes she might need to strike a balance between teenager and vampire slayer. We also meet the lovable camp villain the Master in all of his zestiness in this episode. In the second episode, alongside interactions with Angel, we get a lore recap from Giles, as the show's structure is set in place. The raising of the stakes, difficult decisions, but also the humor of the show.
You don't have the gun.
And of course, Buffy's quippy nature.
It's in about 9 hours, moron.
All with the gang coming out on top at the end. There's always something special about the first episode of a series that I love so much. Introductions of the main characters, setting up the themes and the storylines.
Go ahead. Prepare me.
Seeing the popular set pieces, it's just fun for me, and also neat to see where it all started. An added benefit of including these first 2 episodes is not only getting to see Darla, who would later get fleshed out in Angel, but also seeing Shao fucking Kahn as a vampire. I just love seeing Brian Thompson, and he's perfect for a meathead cocky vamp, serving as Buffy's real first antagonist.
Is under attack, and it is glorious!
So starting off this mini rewatch of greatest hits, of course, me personally, I'll want to add the first 2 episodes of the series, seeing the characters at their rawest, before the show has time to really expand on them, and watching everything be put into place. It's cool. Season 1, Episode 10, Nightmares. We open up with Buffy having a nightmare, this time a lot more realistic than the ones she's used to. When a guy who looks like Tommy opens his textbook to page spiders,
Harry, Crawley. It's funny if you're me.
the gang find out that the spider incident was beat by beat a recurring dream that he has. As more people start experiencing waking nightmares and one girl is assaulted by a burly, disfigured man, Buffy notices a kid lingering around the school and follows him, finding out he may be the cause of everyone's nightmares becoming reality.
The ugly man. He wants to kill me.
Yeah, maybe don't call him ugly? This is an episode I saw on a lot of other people's lists. Initially, I had written it off due to the kind of off-putting Monster of the Week story going on, but I rewatched it and it's really what's going on with the characters that makes me want to include this so much. Not only is it the theme of everyone's fears corporealizing that really does fit the Halloween-y mood that I'm going for, but it's that the show is taking this moment to delve into the deepest fears of our main characters. Cordelia is having a bad hair day. Xander is haunted by a childhood trauma. Timid Willow is having stage fright. Buffy is abandoned again by her father. Meanwhile, Giles' worst fear...
I failed.
It's moments like these. Season 1, Episode 12, Prophecy Girl. In the finale of the season, Buffy is still slaying, keeping Sunnydale clean, all while the Master is getting closer to breaking free. Xander oversteps boundaries and eats shit, Willow sticks up for herself, and Giles discovers something about the prophecy that unnerves him. Buffy, noticing an uptick in supernatural activity, heads to the library where she overhears Giles discussing the prophecy with Angel.
And she will die.
As that day comes closer, Buffy runs from the duty forced upon her, attempting to quit being the Slayer. But when her friends get caught in the crossfire, Buffy realizes the power she has in going along with the role she is destined to play, and accepts her fate.
Maybe I'll take him with me.
I want to include this episode because while Season 1 did have quite a few heavy moments, this is where the show really solidifies its ideals, becoming way more serious than what we've seen prior to this.
Only my fortune!
An absolutely powerful performance from Sarah Michelle Gellar, reinforcing the hardship that comes with such a thing as destiny forced upon a child, a future written for you, and how difficult it is to accept when you don't have a choice. All wondrously capped off with the theme song kicking in when Buffy storms her way back to the Master. This is actually a painful episode to watch, and you know I love my depressing shit. Prophecy Girl is right up there with The Gift and The Body for me. Just phenomenal. Watching episode 1, 2, and 12 makes for not only a great arc, but a great story. When I started thinking about this video, I knew that even though they are a main storyline, that they needed to be thrown in, at least for me, because honestly it sets up the show so well, and I just like it a lot.
We save the world. I say we party.
Going forward, we're not really going to have any seasonal arcs included, so don't worry about that. Honorable mentions for Season 1 are, well, to be fair, lots of them, based on which you like more, but personally, I like The Witch, Teacher's Pet, and The Puppet Show. The Witch introduces Amy and touches on parents forcing their failed goals onto their kids. Teacher's Pet, as we've already discussed, Xander's magnetism, it's a topical episode, and, Sindel. And The Puppet Show, introducing Hard-Ass Snyder. And Goosebumps was my shit as a kid, so seeing essentially a do-gooder version of Slappy is neat, on top of the fake-out as well as the themes on display in the episode. Season 2 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer takes its time to explore the relationships of its characters, both romantic and platonic, but mostly romantic, as we see the ups and downs of dating life on the Hellmouth. This is where Buffy starts to get really good. A very interpersonal overarching storyline taking wild twists and turns, raising the stakes and severity of the threats to the Scooby Gang, all centering on Buffy and Angel's relationship. The difficulty of it as is, the Slayer dating a vampire,
It takes more than that to get rid of me. Oh.
but also the disastrous outcome. Worst breakup ever, all culminating in a difficult decision. Buffy becoming who she needs to be, no matter how painful it is. And on top of that, the season, mainly with its individual Monster of the Week episodes, still manages to hold on to an abundance of the campy fun stuff. The things that really make Buffy Buffy, while putting in the work to flesh out all of its core cast members and its themes, ultimately feeling like a more refined and polished Season 1, and taking the show to that next level. Season 2, Episode 3, School Hard. The hard-ass Principal Snyder cracks down on Buffy's delinquency by pairing her up with a legitimate delinquent.
Guy's a serious rodent.
In hosting the school's parent-teacher day, where he threatens to confront Buffy's mom about her grades and behavior. That is, until a new vampire, Spike, rolls into town alongside his demented partner, Dracula, both of them from Angel's sordid past. Spike, wanting to be in good graces with the Anointed One, assumes the role of Slayer Killer. He tracks her down to the Bronze and sacks a lackey in order to test her out. After watching her, though, his patience wears thin, and jumping the gun, he descends upon the school, looking to kill himself another Slayer.
Yeah, I did a couple Slayers in my time. I don't like to brag.
Gonna do one more. Buffy has to step up to deal with the sudden threat, while keeping her mom from finding out about what's really been going on in Sunnydale. Okay. I'm showing my hand a bit early that I am a die-hard Buffy guy. I just really like where the dynamic goes, and I'm very endeared to Spike as a character.
I say we go out there and kick a little demon ass.
So, of course, the episode where he's introduced would be included.
As long as nothing really bad happens between now and then, you'll be fine.
It's the ultimate jinx. What were you thinking?
Maybe this time it'll be different.
You also can't forget the introduction of Drusilla, either. One of my favorite characters that becomes sadly underutilized. So fascinating, the glimmer of madness and how it bounces off of Spike's caring nature that would really get fleshed out later in the show. Also, Mama Slayer's a badass.
You get the hell away from my daughter.
And Cordelia, have some lemonade.
How much sugar did you use?
Sugar?
And also we get a little bit of thematic play here, with Spike at the end commenting that he's never fought a Slayer that had friends and family. Another peg on the board for the Slayer needing her Scoobies, those closest to her, that set her and her mission apart from those that came before her. It's not a one Slayer band, it's an ensemble. A war ensemble. Season 2, Episode 6, Halloween. Amidst turmoil in the love life of all the Scoobs, it's Halloween. Xander is devastated after having his manhood undermined by Buffy, saving him from a Larry knuckle sandwich.
Do you know what you just did? Black eye heals, Buffy, but cowardice has an unlimited shelf life.
Willow is struggling with self-assurance, and most importantly, Buffy is fretting over her Slayer life, interfering with her romantic life, and wanting to be the kind of girl that Angel would want.
Put on some fantabulous gown and go to a ball like a princess.
Still, I think I prefer being able to vote.
Principal Snyder asks, also read forces,
one pathetic cry for help after another,
the Scoobs to sign up for a volunteer chaperone program for the Tykes, so the gang goes to acquire costumes. Buffy finds an 18th century dress from the new shop on the block, alongside Willow's ghost in Xander's commando for the night out, trick-or-treating. This is also where we find out that Halloween is a night where typically demons and vampires stay in.
Those wacky vampires.
Tomorrow's Halloween. Nothing happens on Halloween.
They just keep you guessing.
So the troupe heads out for a fun night of trick-or-treating, when suddenly, everyone transforms into their costumes, causing mayhem, devastation, and chaos on the streets of Sunnydale. Willow fucking dies, Xander completes his Bill cosplay with standard issue M16, and
Buffy, what do we do?
this is gonna go great. Spike, eventually noticing what's going on, jumps at the opportunity to take out the Slayer while he has an easy kill in his sights, while Willow goes to Giles to figure out what's going on, and he may know just who the culprit is, going there to kick his ass and put things back just in the nick of time.
Hi, honey. I'm home.
You think that Spike, replays that moment? Now we reach the first actual Halloween episode of Buffy, and to me it's the best one.
You're missing the whole point of Halloween.
Free candy?
It's come as you are at night.
It's already a contender for one of the most fun and funniest episodes of the entire lot, with some of the most quotable lines from the series.
She couldn't have dressed up like Xena.
The ghost of what exactly?
For my women in spandex. Catwoman, you're with me.
It's already a mainstay for a lot of people to throw on for the occasion, and it really is one of the best singular episodes that the show has to offer.
It's not a demon, it's a car.
What does it want?
Sporting not only a ton of humor and Halloween aesthetics, but also a firm backbone, showing our characters gaining a new sense of self-confidence.
Who's that girl?
Oz gets it. Hey Oz. Sending them on their merry way to engage in courtships, both current and new. The season's revolving theme of relationships.
Do you love my insides?
Eyeballs to entrails, my sweet.
Here in this episode, showcasing the importance of loving and accepting one's self.
You know what? It's good to be me.
Season 2, Episode 15, Phases. Willow expresses readiness to take her and Oz's relationship to the next level, despite Oz being a lot more steadier and slow on the draw. Meanwhile, Xander and Cordy be macking at night, fooling under the full moon when there's a fuzzy bump in the night. I like werewolves. It's a werewolf, prowling the streets of Sunnydale, attracted to lovers in the throes of passion. The gang gathers to discuss.
Werewolves, it's one of the classics.
Discovering that it's only gotten animals so far, and Giles, saying that it'd be wrong to kill a werewolf who is only evil 3 nights out of the month, says they need to discover who it is and trap them to keep them from potentially making that leap to hurting a human. While searching for the werewolf, they run into a werewolf hunter.
It doesn't bother you that a werewolf is a person 28 days out of the month?
That's why I only hunt them the other 3. It's a little hard to skin them when they're alive.
The race is on to find out who the werewolf is and keep their human counterparts safe from the hunter as a body is discovered, and the beast is revealed.
Huh.
Yeah, of course I'm going to have the werewolf episode on here. It also, gleefully doth I proclaim, discusses one of my favorite themes with werewolves. If werewolves represent a type of repression, a burying deep down of one's true nature, of one's true self.
They were supposed to keep people from finding out about my private affair.
One of the prominent bridges for that is with closeted homosexuality. So rarely showcased, and yet it's the red herring for the episode. And knowing that the writers do tend to know their stuff, I'd say that that was on purpose, drawing that connection. Turning Larry from your typical jock asshole
Oh, thank you, Thigh Master!
to,
How are people going to look at me after they find out I'm gay?
oh, now it makes sense, with the werewolf episode. There's also a running theme of misogyny in this episode, first with the bolsterous Larry.
I would love to give me some of that Buffy and Willow action, if you know what I mean.
Really mastered the single entendre.
Using misogyny as a societal mask in order to fit in and not be outed, followed up by Sajan here being the poster child for nitwit.
You, well, you're a girl.
This is juxtaposed against Cordy and Willow's current relationship woes, wanting their men to ravage them essentially, and seemingly having to fight for it.
We have a lot of fun. But I want smoochies.
It's interesting to say the least. We also get a bit of a proto-Ginger Snaps moment, likening the werewolf's full moon cycle to the menstruation cycle, with Willow saying,
I mean, 3 days out of the month. I'm not much fun to be around either.
So that's cool. The episode does sport 2 different transformation sequences, the first of which is a little bit more of the type of transformation, and the other is the black and white morph cut. Both very cost-effective means of doing a transformation. Bravo. Bleh. Also, it's funny that Oz is the werewolf, because you know. I want to have a little bit of a nerd tangent real quick, because I am a bit of a werewolf nerd. In the episode that introduces werewolves into the Buffyverse, we see the creature as bipedal, and, well, somewhat intimidating. I mean, I've seen a lot of bad costumes. This is tolerable for a TV show, which, funnily enough, it actually looks like the TV movie Werewolf from Ginger Snaps. But anyways, my issue is that it only looks like this in this episode. Later in the series, Oz, our resident werewolf, will sport a more ape-like type of aesthetic. Later again in Buffy, we meet Veruca, who is more akin to Oz, in the quadrupedal ape state. And in the final season of the show, Angel, we meet Nina, who is bipedal, looking more like the werewolf on parade in this episode, and the show even attempts to introduce different species of werewolves into the lore, explaining that the werewolf that bit Nina was rare to see in North America. But my mind goes back to the first episode with Oz. Why did he shift into bipedal here, and then seemingly revert back to a more common North American werewolf? And why was everyone just completely oblivious to it? I guess it's just best to not ask too many questions. Whether technical, wanting a werewolf costume that's not as much of a hassle to deal with, or story-driven, wanting a werewolf that isn't as intimidating as the bipedal version. It is what it is, and it's best to act like the characters in the show and just move on. It does suck though, going from a pretty cool looking costume for a TV show at least, to a lost child with mange. Anyways,
I've got to deal with people for the ethical treatment of werewolves.
This episode is essential viewing for me. It's a wonderful addition to the Scoobs and the relationship dynamics therein, with the theme that unconventional love is possible.
A werewolf in love.
And it also mirrors with Buffy and Angel's story currently in the show. Angelus being the werewolf to Angel's Oz in the analogy, is a monster deserving of love. Honorable mentions for Season 2, Inca Mummy Girl for another entry in the Xander Bad Baddies catalog, sort of Buffy parallels, and it also introduces Oz. Reptile Boy, Buffy kicking some predatory frat ass with a cool snake practical, and Stern Willow makes a feature.
And you! I mean, you're gonna live forever. You don't have time for a cup of coffee?
Lie to Me, which is one of my favorites that didn't quite make the list. A thought-provoking premise putting Buffy's morals to the test, and a hard decision she has to make, mirroring one that she will have to make later in the season. Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered is the Xander love spell episode that is just fun. Even Drusilla wants in on the Xander action.
How do you feel about eternal life?
We couldn't just start with a coffee?
As well as some of the best Cordelia development. The first time I saw it, my opinion on her shifted completely. A testament to how much one small scene can do for a character. Similarly, it's also a case for Xander haters with how he gets brownie points for doing the bare minimum. But the shenanigans on display and the endearment of Cordy is why I really like the episode. I Only Have Eyes for You. Possession with emotional weight and a very fun climax subverting expectations in a very Buffy way. And finally, Go Fish, where we get Prison Break guy
Dude, what is that foulness?
Playing a freaky fish guy.
I am not a freaky fish guy.
When the coach of the swim team starts pumping his athletes with testosterone from a fishy source.
After the fall of the Soviet Union.
Leading to high school version of Creature from the Black Lagoon with some body horror. Interesting. And at the end, they just fuck off, never to be heard from again. What are they up to? What are they doing? One time I even pondered, are they saltwater fish? This is the biggest lingering thread of the Buffyverse that I need closure on. What are they doing? Season 3 sees the Scooby Gang in their final year of high school, combating all the trials and tribulations that brings.
I don't have a date for the prom.
As well as the usual demon or apocalypse, as our characters try to find their own way and their identity as they graduate to the next stage in their lives. A running theme in this season is how the adults and elders are failing you in their own way, whilst trying to navigate an important shift in your life. This is a season where we see Buffy turning to her peers to overcome the creatures that go bump in the night.
If we can focus, keep discipline, and not have quite as many mysterious deaths, Sunnydale is gonna rule!
As well as the always impending plural apocalypses. High School Buffy is really the peak of the show in a way. When we move away from high school and then eventually away from college, there's a certain spark that is lost. So this season is a wonderful send-off to that era, ripe with humor and a bit of silly.
If you're not too busy having sex with my mother.
Before we get into the much more adult and serious themes and tone in later seasons. Season 3, Episode 6, Band Candy. Buffy, increasingly treated like a child by her watcher and her mother, and under the thumb of the SATs bringing up her potential future again, is under constant supervision from Joyce and Giles to keep her busy and out of trouble.
See, all systems tend towards chaos.
Did somebody say chaos? Meanwhile, the mayor is asking the glorious Mr. Trick to call in a favor with an old acquaintance of Sunnydale to keep the town a little preoccupied while he makes a tribute. At school, the gang finds out that Snyder is having everyone sell boxes of fundraising chocolate bars. Buffy, the entrepreneur she is, puppy dog eyes half the box to her mom and the other half to Giles, both still keeping a tight leash on her. When Buffy returns home after slipping away to see Angel, both of her watchers are waiting for her, sending her off to bed while they gorge on their chocolate bars. Giles is late the next day, which is severe cause for alarm. The gang gets to the bottom of what's going on,
They're acting like a bunch of us.
finding that all of Sunnydale's adults have regressed to their high school days.
Are there any nachos in here, little tree?
And are running amok in a town with suddenly no authority. Band Candy is pretty unanimously an honorary Halloween episode. Also, damn Joyce. The antagonist from Halloween is back, hawking temptatious chocolate bars in a very fun and iconic episode.
What demon?
I don't remember.
Characters acting out of character but true to who they used to be, turns out, is pretty fun. Seeing Rupert revert back to Ripper and the antics he and Joyce get up to, as well as Snyder finally letting loose for once.
Hey, where are we going? You drive like a spaz!
In a season soon to be filled with the authority figures in Buffy's life failing her in various ways, this is a nice precursor, showing that they were once kids too, where we get to see the characters interacting in new environments and with people we don't normally get to see them interact with.
That guy took my candy.
In a wacky and fun-filled episode,
Everybody expects me to do everything around here because I'm the principal. It's not fair.
that pairs excellently with Halloween. Season 3, Episode 8, Lover's Walk. After getting a good SAT score, Buffy, for the first time, feels like she has options outside of slayage. She's also back with Angel, with the moment of happiness acting as a sort of Damocles over their heads. In other Scoob's affairs, Cordy and Xander are planning a double date with Willow and Oz, all while things have been igniting between Xander and Willow that shouldn't be igniting. At the same time, someone from Buffy's recent past is stumbling his way back into Sunnydale, heartbroken and hell-bent on revenge for who he thinks is responsible.
You're going down.
With things getting out of hand with her and Xander and realizing how wrong it is, Willow makes preparations to perform an anti-love spell, when Spike, looking for his own dastardly spell,
I'm hearing a lot of negative energy, and I bet...
Leprosy.
runs into her. Changing his mind about revenge, Spike instead kidnaps Willow, enlisting her to make him a love spell to get back Drusilla. More Spike because, of course. This is a very fun Spike-centric episode. We get two instances of him being a bit more human and kind of opening up to characters, venting about his recent relationship woes, which is an interesting contrast to his usual persona. First, he confides in Willow, who he would later open up to a lot in the series, and then, oddly enough, Joyce, who bashed his head in with a fire axe the last time she saw him. It also happens to contain one of the best speeches in the show, delivered by Spike.
Love isn't brains, children. It's blood.
After that, he just decides he's going to man up and win Drusilla back.
I'll find her, tie her up, torture her, till she likes me again.
Spike's always been the romantic type. I say that jokingly, but I do mean it. Cecily, his mom, Drusilla, and we'll get to that later, but it's well established in the series that this guy has always put forth his whole heart in relationships. It's also a very impactful episode. With the aforementioned good SAT scores, Buffy has her future to think about, what role Angel will play in that, and the culmination of all the Willow and Xander teasing comes to a head. It's a pretty painful episode in that regard, but Spike shows up, drunk, disheveled, and distraught, and literally just stumbles his way into a solution for his love life, while managing to play a role in fucking up everyone else's relationship before he just toodles his Brit ass back out of the show. That's hilarious. Also an interesting tidbit. There's no apostrophe in the title. Season 3, Episode 16, Doppelgangland. After the events of The Wish resulted in Anya, the vengeance demon, losing her necklace containing her powers, she is trapped in Sunnydale as a mere human, and her boss, de Hoffren, refuses to help her.
And I'm flunking math.
I love Anya. Faith is on the mayor's payroll now after a slip-up that we won't talk about right now, and Buffy is busy training for the test that her and Faith will undergo with the Watchers Council. Meanwhile, Willow is seen practicing magic in her spare time before she's tasked with doing a flunking basketball player's work for him by Snyder, spending another night digging through the computer for Giles, finding out Oz didn't even mention that he was going out of town for a gig, and she finally has enough when Buffy and Xander refer to her as Old Reliable.
Isn't that the dog that the guy had to shoot?
It's Old Yeller.
Anya, noticing her recent interest in magic, acquires Willow's assistance, who is more than gung-ho to do something dangerous and out of character after being made to feel like boring, cut-and-dried, predictable Willow. Much like all spells within the Buffyverse, it goes awry, and instead of bringing back the necklace, they brought back Bizarro World of Vamp Willow in all her leathery glory. Vamp Willow immediately runs into Xander.
Why don't you get introduce me to your holy god, your Willow?
Causing the gang to think their good friend Willow is gone.
Finest of all of us.
Way better than me.
Much, much better.
Yeah, I basically just chose this for Leather Willow. But seriously, of the two episodes between The Wish and Doppelgangland, for the purpose of this list, I wanted to choose Doppelgangland. The Wish deals with a pretty big mainline plot point, Xander and Cordy's breakup, and thus I feel it does require more time to get the full extent of the weight of that episode.
Because it has to be.
And Doppelgangland is more bite-sized, and personally a much more fun episode to view in this setting.
Jeez, who died? Oh God, who died?
So that's why I chose it. We also meet de Hoffren, who is a recurring character and always great to see. Calm, cool, collected, and very understanding, but takes no shit. I like him. Oh, and you can't forget Wesley, who will later show up on Angel and get some much-needed character depth and exploration there. Doppelgangland is a Willow-focused episode dealing with her being tired of always being the reliable and predictable one of the group. And when her vamp counterpart arrives in town, Willow is actually the one who subdues her and assumes her domineering role in order to save her friends.
Bitch.
Showing that she can both stand up for herself and be a little bit of a wild card while taking charge in the bronze. We also happen to get our first taste of canonically bi Willow, so there's that too. At the end of the episode, Willow says,
I see now where the path of vice leads.
But seeing the flunking basketball player show up with his history report after Vamp Willow had tossed his ass in the bronze, maybe being stern and confident isn't such a bad thing for our Willow.
You want to go out tonight?
9 sound good?
It's a much-needed fun episode,
Hands!
given its place in the season, that still manages to explore the facets of a great budding character while setting things in motion for later in the show as well. Season 3, Episode 20, The Prom. We open the episode with Buffy and Angel discussing their future as a couple. Later, Joyce goes to Angel and has a heart-to-heart with him about tough decisions.
But I think we both know that there are some hard choices ahead. If she can't make them, you're gonna have to.
Leading to Angel having his own version of a prophetic dream. Meanwhile, as we edge closer to the Ascension and the climactic battle against the mayor, everyone in Sunnydale is preparing for the prom. Anya manages to ask Xander to go with her in her own special way.
Men are evil. Will you go with me?
The Watchers will be attending as chaperones.
What?
And the Scoobs all chat over their plans and choice of attire. Everyone's excited for a night off from saving the world.
We get it. Miles to go before we sleep. One night of glory, not too much to ask.
That's when we see that someone has been riling up caged beasts against the snazzily dressed. Buffy meets up with Angel later and asks him about prom when he tells her that they can't be together, and that after the Ascension, he's leaving for LA.
I want my life to be with you.
I don't. Buffy is then consoled by Willow. While Cordelia works her new job in order to pay for her dress on account of her dad being busted for tax fraud,
MC Hammer broke!
Xander runs into her moments before the store is attacked by one of the beasts we saw in the cages.
Zoom in on that.
It's a videotape.
They do it on television all the time.
Not with a regular VCR, they don't.
When the gang finds out that there's a plot to ruin prom for everybody, that Tucker, Andrew's brother, is sending hellhounds to attack anyone dressed up at the school, they're pretty bummed out that they'll have to miss it. But Buffy steps up and puts her foot down, telling them she has it covered, so that even if she can't, they can have their last night of fun at prom.
It makes sense to
Have a nice time.
Okay then.
See ya.
I'm a huge believer that Xander and Willow wouldn't ever work, and Xander isn't good enough for Cordy, especially once she gets her later development, and that truthfully, Xander and Anya is the endgame relationship goals, if Xander wasn't a fucking Nimrod. So seeing the relationship start building here is very cute, and a huge bonus to having it in the list. There's also a very sweet moment between Xander and Cordy at the prom. Another selfless act out of Xander. A rare moment where his true character shines. You also can't forget Tucker, who kind of becomes important later on, sort of, sort of.
I have my reasons. You want to go to the prom with me?
No.
Fucking nerd. The running theme of this season could be summarized as choices. In this episode, I believe it is showcasing that love sometimes means having to make the most difficult ones. But this episode, while being fun and a bit of a calm before the storm, is almost entirely included here for its ending. Buffy, who has never once sincerely asked to be thanked by the countless people that she's saved, who has quite possibly sacrificed her own future to protect the futures of her peers, finds out that the whole time, that although people haven't always addressed the Slayer in the room, that they've known the lengths that she's gone to keep everyone safe. That she was their protector.
Buffy Summers, class protector.
It's so sad in a bittersweet way that just always gets me. And the icing on the cake for this episode,
Every now and then, people surprise you.
Every now and then.
Buffy shares one last dance with Angel, knowing that their destinies are pulling them in opposite directions. A quiet, heartfelt moment before the season finale. It's just beautiful. Honorable mentions for Season 3. Anne is honestly a great episode, watching Buffy get her mojo back in a very satisfying fashion.
I'm Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, and you are?
Showing that she can't really run away from being the Slayer because she'll always be intrinsically moved to help the helpless. Dead Man's Party. Earl's mom and zombies. Cool. I already mentioned The Wish and why it was overlooked in favor of Doppelgangland.
Done. That would be cool.
And finally, the Zeppo. It's a phenomenal Xander-centric episode following him and his own shenanigans.
Hey, they're not baking any cake.
While off-screen, Buffy and co avert yet another apocalypse.
And if you won't do it my way, then you're...
Hey, I've got this, this is probably a bad time. Can I help? Okay.
One of the few times that the fanbase can all agree on good Xander usage.
I like the quiet.
Also,
I'm not going anywhere, Harris. The first time you turn your back.
No, I'm oddly full today.
Post-high school being blown up and now entering new territory, Buffy is fretting college life. Classes, roommates, horrible people who deserve the guillotine, until demons start to show up and Buffy finds out that some things don't change.
Get it? Heartburn?
A running theme for the season is how, true to life, the Scoobs are all slowly drifting apart after high school. Xander struggling to stay in the lives of his friends, Buffy in the Thanksgiving episode so desperate just to get everyone together, Giles being left out of the conversation loop, and everyone's just spending more time with their romantic partners than their friends. This is all wonderfully capped off at the end when they come together and collectively lend their power to Buffy in order to take down the big bad. There's also an absolutely amazing run of episodes from practically episode 1 to episode 12 of this season.
I slipped a small pellet of poison in your drink, you'll be dead in an hour.
Just kidding.
Filled with humor and wonderful interactions, which made it very hard to just pick a couple for this list. Looking at the full breadth of the show that is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, this has to be one of the best seasons, flat out. It's so fun, harkening back to the very episodic and charming Season 1 while doing great things with its characters. Season 4, Episode 4, Fear Itself. After a disastrous first attempt at a connection post-Angel, Buffy is moping around at Xander's crib while the gang all carves pumpkins and talk about what they're doing for Halloween.
It was supposed to be Phantasm. Stupid video store.
Blasphemer.
They all decide to go hit up a frat party to get Buffy out of the house and to enjoy Halloween.
There's a party? I mean, I got better things to do than...
You can come.
Okay.
The one night of the year where the gang should be able to let loose without threat of impending catastrophe, sealed with approval from Senior Giles.
It's alive!
While walking home, Buffy is accosted by a pesky kid whom she rightfully beats. She probably thought it was a demon. Anya and Xander are kindling their relationship.
Anniversary.
It's been exactly 1 week since we copulated.
Willow has been dabbling in more magic.
What is college for, if not experiment?
And Oz, given personal experience, tells her to be careful with power. What they don't know is that the frat house took a bit too serious of inspiration for their arts and crafts, and when Oz drips blood on the symbol, a demon that feeds off fear begins to inhabit the haunted house attraction. The gang all arrives ready for a night out, dressed in their appropriate costumes, with Xander making sure that if they were to turn into their costumes again,
As long as I'm cool and wield some kind of power.
After running into some conspicuously coordinated commandos, Xander mentions that Anya is running late, and Buffy laments that she's the only one at the shindig without a date.
Technically speaking, you're a fifth wheel.
They head inside where the frat has set up a haunted house-style entrance to go through before getting to the party. Only there's seemingly no one else in the house, and the props and decorations therein are starting to come to life. Anya, clad in her iconic terrifying bunny costume, finally makes it, and when she finds that all the doors and windows are gone, she heads to Giles to figure out what's happening.
Xander's trapped.
Buffy, the others.
Oh, they're trapped too, but we've got to save Xander.
As the gang's individual fears begin to surface inside the house. This is the series' second Halloween episode, and between the two, I think I prefer Halloween. But this is a fantastic episode as well, and with the Buffy fanbase, the split is pretty down the middle, and for good reason. Both episodes are amazing and should absolutely be staple viewing for the holiday. Not only is it very fun and humorous, but the theme of the episode clearly is fear.
Cobweb!
It's funny if you're me.
However, it's not necessarily the need to defeat or conquer it, more so the acceptance and working with our fears. Willow, upset at everyone's response to her practicing magic. Xander, the only Scoob not in college, is fearing a loss of connection with his friends. Oz fears the beast within and that he might not be able to control it. And Buffy is having difficulty trusting anyone and fears letting someone get close to her again. The costumes all kind of reflect Joan of Arc, who was burned at the stake, Xander dressed as Bond because he just wants to be useful, and Little Red Riding Buffy in her extremely vulnerable state.
What you got in the basket, little girl?
Weapons.
Oh.
It's in the end with the summoning of the demon that everyone realizes that in the grand scheme of things, their fears and worries are minuscule. Season 4, Episode 9, Something Blue. Buffy and Riley are getting along swimmingly at the early stages of their relationship, but she feels like something's missing, with Willow chiming in,
He's not making you miserable?
she has no idea how right she is. Meanwhile, at Giles' apartment, Spike's here, now implanted with his neutering chip, compliments of the initiative, and unable to harm anyone human. They have him chained up and are pressing for more information.
The invalid amnesiac routine is over.
When Giles plans to work with Willow to make a truth spell to use on Spike. However, after being unable to control himself and wild at heart, Oz has went on his merry way to a monastery to be able to rein in the werewolf side of himself, leaving Willow a broken mess, as she goes to the bronze to drown her sorrows.
Not drowning. Waiting.
Buffy escorts her home, but as she's gotten a little too comfortable using magic to solve her issues, she casts a spell to make her will be done. The next day, she thinks the spell hasn't worked, and
I will that this Q-tip gets unbendy.
Giles tells her maybe she's in too fragile a state to be doing magic. She snaps back, telling him that he can't see anything.
You say that you do, but you don't see anything.
Later, Giles goes to perform the spell alone.
Not too keen about this spell stuff. Tends to be a bit unpredictable.
Until he can't see. When talking to Buffy, Willow accidentally turns Amy back into a human before turning her also accidentally back into a rat, which is one of my favorite scenes in the entire show because they got the actress back for literally a throwaway, and that's it. It's great. Meanwhile, Spike has broken out of Giles's, but Willow makes it to where Buffy finds him instantly.
I'm gonna kill you!
Spike, there's nothing there.
Bringing him back to the apartment and telling Buffy,
Why doesn't she just go marry?
And make me the happiest man on earth.
She calls Xander a demon magnet. And Giles is now completely blind.
You smell like fruit roll-ups.
Hijinks ensue. There's a wondrous streak of episodes at the front half of Season 4 that are just fun and entertaining. So I actually had a hard time picking which one I wanted to add to the list to go along with the 2 sure pick episodes from Season 4. But Something Blue wins it for me because of the premise. While being part of a bigger storyline, that being Willow's magic issues, it's appropriately bite-sized and works well to... Yeah.
And I would like you to be the one to give me away.
Oh.
Spike and I are getting married.
Yeah, coming. But seriously, it's such a zany episode full of antics following the Scoob.
Whereas the name Buffy gives it that touch of classic elegance.
What's wrong with Buffy?
Huh, such a good question.
And even a cool DeHoffrin making an appearance.
That is your answer?
It is.
Here is my talisman. You change your mind, give us a chance.
That I can't help but enjoy a rewatch.
So, you're insane.
Uh-huh.
And not just for the Spuffy bait. Season 4, Episode 10, Hush. Buffy, in a dream, is attending a lecture from Walsh, invoking my favorite trope.
It's about the thoughts and experiences that we don't have a word for.
Before having a bit of exhibitionist fun with Riley in the class, when Buffy hears a young girl singing a Kruger-esque foreboding tune. Buffy wakes up after engaging in my favorite pastime. I've never slept well. She talks to Riley about making plans, but both of them lie about what they're up to. Buffy then calls Giles about her weird dream, who gets on the research while Spike wanders around his apartment. This is possibly my favorite time period in the series, when Spike starts his integration into the Scooby Gang, just traipsing along aimlessly and then discovering he can attack demons soon enough, which reinvigorates his will to live and fight, as he becomes my favorite character. Xander, alongside Anya, barge into the apartment, with Anya upset with him for not being able to just tell her how he feels, thinking he just wants her for sex.
What do I mean to you?
Giles pawns Spike off to Xander for a while because he has company coming over.
Don't see why I have to be tied up.
And Willow attends her first Wicca school thing meeting thing where they're seemingly dismissive of actually performing magic, except for one member. Shy-Tara is so precious. Buffy confides in Willow about how not moving her relationship with Riley is.
I wish I could just come clean.
Well, you can't.
At the same time, Riley is wishing he could tell Buffy he's working for the Initiative. When that night, the gentlemen arrive in town, setting up their HQ at the clock tower as they steal all the voices of the residents of Sunnydale. Everyone wakes up and understandably panics, as the Scoobs convene to figure out what's going on and how they can combat it. There's also a guy selling marker boards for like $10 in the streets who deserves massive props. Dude saw a market and cornered the fuck out of it. Hush is one of the most iconic episodes of Buffy. For me, what makes it stand out so much is the direction it took with the sound design. With no dialogue, it has to take the forefront, supported by the musical score, with a completely different mix than we're used to, highlighting not only the importance of good sound design, but the fun of it too. It's a very slapsticky kind of episode filled with exaggerated physicality, where not only is there humor in abundance, but also, without saying a single word, a lot of characters' plights reach a conclusion here. Spike gets caught up in a case of mistaken identity, making Xander attack the offenseless Spike. which shows his love and care for Anya, solving their issues. Later, Buffy and Riley fight the Gentlemen together, both in their secret identity roles, which rips that band-aid off the elephant in the room, allowing them to finally move their relationship forward. This episode also introduces Tara to the fold, which is cool. And also, the Gentlemen are kind of one of the few actually scary villains of the week. Even while looking like, well, cheerful, dapper guys with high metabolism and grills on a Segway, they are literally cutting hearts out of people while their screams can't be heard. Wonderfully portrayed by the masterful Doug Jones and Camden Toy, and they, alongside the makeup and effects department, perfectly nail the creep factor of these creatures, searing their visage into the minds of all Buffy fans, putting them usually at the top or near it on lists of little bads for the series as people's favorite weekly villains. It's honestly a great episode to throw on. Honorable mentions for Season 4, Initiative. Spike gets chipped and escapes, starting his journey to being a full-fledged member of the gang. With some more Spike and Willow moments. Pangs, a Thanksgiving episode filled with fun moments and Xander syphilis, even if it does kind of stumble as it tries to have a Native American antagonist that's sympathetic, I think it still gets points for trying, and also being blunt about some things that deserve to be blunt about.
Blending of two cultures, it's about one culture wiping out another.
A new man. Giles has been turned into a demon and is relying on Spike to help him fix things before Buffy kills him in a case of mistaken identity.
I refuse to become a monster because I look like a monster. Oh, stop the car. Right, let's go then.
It was this close to beating out Something Blue. Definitely is on the list even if I didn't talk about it in detail here. And the season is topped off with Restless. Honestly, an amazing episode, endlessly quotable.
I'm a confortador also.
I wear the cheese.
And try not to bleed on my couch.
Filled to the brim of Riley's cowboy hat.
I'm cowboy guy.
With symbolism and fun execution, with immense significance.
I'm gonna be a fireman when the floods roll back.
Setting us up perfectly for what was intended to be the final season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
You think you know? You haven't even begun.
It's a great episode, it just, for the list, it doesn't really fit. And that made me sad. Season 5 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a much more human one, full of emotions and struggles as Buffy has a lot on her plate. Missing college to care for her mom and worsening health condition, navigating the scary world of medical scares, starting Slayer training again with Giles after having her weaknesses exposed, learning more about the history of the Slayer, and on top of it all being in charge of her little sister. With everything going on and all the time she saved the world and all the evil she's fought, Buffy begins to wonder when it'll all be over. When enough is enough. When she's managed to save the world for good. When she's done. One of the big themes for this season is family, exploring what family means and what it means to love someone as people move in and out of our lives in unexpected ways. There's even the episode titled Family, reinforcing this idea, that the found family that the Scooby Gang has turned into is much stronger than blood. You also probably already know that I like when stories are depressing, and there's a lot about this season that washes you with tough-to-swallow emotions, especially when it comes to the finale. But this is also the season we get Buffy up and running too. Starting off awkward, then eventually having some key high points in the dynamic, which I personally really enjoy.
To protect her.
Till the end of the world.
However, with how serious the show gets this season and how pervasive Glory the Big Bad is and all of it, the humor and one-off episodes are sorely lacking.
Can I trade in the children for more cash?
Meaning there aren't too many standout episodes that I would add to the list, but there are two that stand out to me. Season 5, Episode 1, Buffy vs. Dracula. Restless, Buffy gets out of bed to go patrolling, craving the thrill of the fight, and after dusting a random vamp, she returns, satiated, to her bed with Riley. The next day, the gang is at the beach where Willow uses her magic to spark up the barbecue just as the storm rolls in. Meanwhile, two overworked delivery guys find out they're delivering dirt to a random California mansion.
Dirt. Man, what's
and a hand breaks through the box to hopefully give them a sizable tip. While scanning books, Giles reveals to Willow that he is going to be leaving for England soon, that Willow has kind of taken over his role in the Scooby Gang, and that he feels Buffy doesn't need him anymore.
Quite proud, actually.
That night, Buffy runs off mid-dinner to go patrolling, where a ghoulish-looking vampire is watching her closely. Whoa, buddy, a little too close. He admits his name is...
I'm Dracula.
Get out.
Buffy is obviously stoked and tries to stake him, but to no avail. Willow and Xander show up, and Dracula turns himself into a bat and fucks off. But before he left, he did tell Buffy that he has an interest in her, that her power comes from her darkness. This sticks with Buffy. At Scoob HQ, Giles' apartment, the straight and bi women of the group are fawning over how awesome and hot and cool Dracula is, while their partners are not as impressed. Then, Xander walks home alone at night and runs into the Count, who asks him to do his best Renfield impression.
You are strange and off-putting. Go now.
After which Dracula then pays Buffy a visit, luring her in and biting her. Later, while figuring out their best move and noticing Xander is acting a little weirder than usual,
Like any of that's enough to fight the Dark Master.
Willow brings up how, while Dracula could just kill his victims, he would much rather prefer a more personal connection. Which is true. Dracula has always been a horny vamp, with topics of sexual autonomy and his victims wanting to be taken. The gang then realizes Buffy is under his spell.
And what'd I tell you? That's Thrall.
And this is Thrall. Realizing they need to keep her ass away from Dracula, Xander eagerly opens his door for Buffy to stay at his place, immediately taking the willing Slayer to meet the Dark Prince.
You cool with that?
Take me to him.
This is a wonderful episode for Halloween, not only because of the Universal and Hammer horror callbacks, the gothic set design, and seeing the Scoobs fight a monster of folk and film legend, but because the show doesn't take any of it seriously, allowing for a lot of levity and fun moments with the cast.
You come through me. Okie
It's really that this episode perfectly nails the atmosphere and aesthetic of the type of film that I usually put on around this time of year, while being a light and tone retelling of the usual beats of a Dracula story, perfect for a dose of Halloween with our favorite characters. Before we delve into a darker than usual season, it also really does a good job of setting up Buffy, who has been struggling with her work-life balance, as well as the source of her true power as a Slayer. And at the end of the episode, we share a beautifully tender moment between Buffy and Giles. And
what are you doing here?
If you're going out, why don't you take your sister?
Don't worry.
Mom!
The show will explain that. Season 5, Episode 7, Fool for Love. Buffy is out patrolling when she gets bested by a random no-name vamp. She's shaken by the event, hiding it from those close to her, and turns to Giles, as she wants to know how the Slayers that came before her were killed.
Blah, blah. Oops, she's dead. Where are the details?
Unsatisfied with the lack of information,
I suppose if they're anything like me, they just find the whole subject too...
unseemly?
painful, I was going to say.
Buffy remembers that she does know someone who can help her out. She visits Spike and asks him to recount the details of how he killed 2 Slayers. While Buffy takes a trip down memory lane with Spike, Riley is off hunting down the vamp that attacked her, first with the Scoobs, but then returning alone to do the job himself. At the Bronze, Spike demands to be bribed for the info.
What?
Spicy buffalo wings. Order me up a plate, I'm feeling peckish.
As Spike confirms his suspicions, that she's been hurt and is ever more conscious of the end of her story, that she wants to know how she can avoid it. Spike begins telling her his story from the very beginning as we see young William.
What's another word for gleaming?
And watch as he gets mocked and rejected.
You're beneath me.
Falling into the arms of Drusilla.
Something glowing and glistening.
Then he tells her about his time in Angel's crew, as they grow tired of his penchant for violence, leading to his learning of the Slayer.
What's a Slayer?
Spike gets to his first lesson, and details how he won against his first Slayer. Buffy is disgusted by how much he enjoyed it.
You got off on it.
Well, yeah. Suppose you're telling me you don't?
But Spike turns it around on her, pointing out that all it takes is for a vampire to have one good day. And it's when Buffy pries that Spike begins to tell her about the second Slayer, and we get closer to the truth that Buffy isn't prepared to hear. This isn't a Halloween episode, or even one drenched in horror aesthetic. It feels much more mainline than most of the other inclusions, and it is a very serious episode. But it's just phenomenal, and near flawlessly executed. The flashbacks, wing date with Buffy, and honestly some great communication between the cinematographer and editor, with Spike addressing the camera cut back and forth with wonderful syncopation, combined with a beautiful dialogue held between Spike and Buffy, all culminating in the core theme of this season. As always, Spike reading her like a book. This episode is peak Buffy in terms of production for me. And of course, we can't forget the ending of this episode, where Spike has had enough of his unrequited crush.
You're beneath me.
Doing what more vampires should do, honestly, and loading a double barrel intended for the Slayer. But finding her crying on the back porch...
What's wrong?
I don't want to talk about it.
He joins her in silence. Tough. Honorable mentions for Season 5. Given that the season is plagued with the glory stuff that I really could care less about, and the two discussed are by and far the best standouts, there's really only two that were sort of in the running. Crush. With Dracula back in town, Spike is torn between two abusive relationships. Hilarity at the expense of Spike ensues.
Spike's in love with me.
It's fun seeing Drusilla back in Sunnydale again, Spike interacting with the two women who have his heart and in harmony, and it also finally rips the band-aid off the whole Spike crush thing.
I lie awake every night.
You sleep during the day.
Yeah, but I'm missing the point.
Intervention. This is when we get the Buffy bot. The initial hijinks of the Buffy bot are honestly fun.
Isn't it a beautiful night for killing evil things?
I guess.
But it is followed up by one of the most tender moments for Spuffy, kinda signing to Spike that the path to Buffy's heart is not by force, but with actions. Sadly, this episode was removed for contention for this list because Glory plays such a large role in the episode. It's just, I found out making this list that really, besides the Master, maybe Angelus, and sort of the trio...
You guys want to team up and take over Sunnydale?
Okay. I don't really like any of the big bads of Buffy. They kind of just get in the way of what I'm drawn to with Buffy, which are the characters. Anyways, this episode is on the Spike list. You either love or hate this season, and I find myself in a weird middle spot. Whereas Season 5 was human, approaching a lot of deep emotional themes, Season 6 broaches more negative character development and darker territories such as depression, severe substance abuse, and addiction, alongside abusive relationships and self-destruction. And also debt.
So what do?
We burn the house to the ground and collect the insurance. Plus fire, pretty.
And yeah, at times it's incredibly heavy-handed, but I can excuse that for the most part. I'm all for stories going to uncomfortable places, even if this season and the next one can kind of seem to force that road trip with some very weird character choices. Although the show is now a far cry from the horror comedy teen drama of seasons 1 and 2, it does manage to have several standout sort of singular episodes. A couple that were sadly hard to justify for my list once I started really cutting it down, and then a couple that are consistent top 10ers for the whole show. Season 6, Episode 7, Once More with Feeling. We open with Buffy singing? It's the musical episode, and Buffy is singing her Want song.
I don't wanna be going through the motions.
About how she's grown disassociated from her life and feels numb, just going through the motions.
She's not even half the girl she...
Cut to the magic box and...
So did anybody burst into song?
Merciful Zeus.
The gang realizes something is amiss and tries to deduce what it could be.
Because I, for one...
I've got a theory that it's a demon.
But wondering who all might be affected, they peer outside and...
They got the mustard.
It's not just us.
The mysterious illness continues to affect the Scoobies. Tara serenades Willow. a song with multiple meanings, as Tara will soon find out. Xander and Anya sing a song about their increasingly cold feet. Then, while wondering what's the worst that could happen, they find out a man danced a dance so ice cold that he burst into flames, bringing sudden urgency to unearthing the root of their spontaneous singing escapades. Tara discovers something is off about her relationship with Willow. Buffy visits Spike at his crypt. We also get a deeply sad song from Giles.
Let you rest at last.
And Dawn is kidnapped by the culprit, who of course sings a song for the exposition, letting it be known that he came to make her his queen.
And you will be my queen.
15, so this queen thing's illegal.
I can break.
I absolutely love seeing Anthony Stewart Head and Amber Benson really flaunt their talent in this episode. It's so fun and giddy. Spike's almost country rock number.
You let me rest in peace.
So, you're not staying then?
The symbolism in Tara's song.
I bet they're not even working.
And my favorite part of musicals when all the songs come together with their individual motifs to form a larger piece. And the villain, despite the weird-ass goatee, friendly fire is enabled. He's such a vibe, you know, besides the whole Queen thing. Chock full of fun moments like,
I'm free if that bitch dies. I better help her out.
with the bombshell dropping at the end. The truth about where Buffy was, sending shockwaves through the Scoobies as she retreats to the comfort of Spike's arms. This episode, while being fun and cheery and joyful, takes the time to greatly explore and expand on the internal struggles of each character. And it is perfection. Season 6, Episode 8, Tabula Rasa. While out on patrol, Spike tries to talk to Buffy about the kiss they shared, who isn't wanting to hear any of it. Oh, it's just a spell. Oh, it won't happen again. Sure. Then a shark mobster shows up who is furious with Spike for unpaid kitten debt as a result of his poker nights. Buffy intervenes and temporarily saves Spike.
She's funny.
Meanwhile, at Xander's apartment, the gang deals with the knowledge that they ripped Buffy from her happily ever after in the sky when Willow suggests using a spell to fix the problem.
I know a spell.
No.
Then what?
In depressing news, Tara has figured out that Willow altered her memory with a spell, telling her that she feels violated and wants to end things with Willow on the spot. And they decide on her going a week without using magic, but that it won't fix everything.
Go a week and then we'll see.
Willow instantly jumps at the prospect of performing a spell, this time one to make both Tara and Buffy forget how her previous spells have hurt them. At the magic box, Giles is trying to tell everyone, including an upset Buffy, that he's planning on leaving for England, as Spike sprints through the front door begging for asylum.
You need to give me asylum.
Giles informs everyone, and Buffy snaps while Willow goes to activate the spell, which, of course, goes horribly wrong, making everyone in the magic box faint, losing their memories of who they are. Oh, it's a loan shark. What follows is a bunch of shenanigans with the Scooby Gang, and honestly some of the funniest highlights of the show.
Why not just call me Horny Giles or Desperate for a Shag Giles?
Much needed before we get serious with the Willow arc in the next couple of episodes. A moment of reprieve where all the tension placed on the characters is kind of let off before it all comes crashing back down. Though I've seen people complain that, oh, that's not really the characters, so it's not too important of an episode or whatever. Counterpoint. That is the characters. Buffy, with no identification, picks a completely different name to go by while continuing her Slayer duties. Spike, finding out he's a vampire, instantly concludes that he's a good one, with, of course, some angel slander.
I help the hopeless.
Oh my god, how lame is that?
Giles is still a bookworm. Nerd, Anya, and Xander, in line with this season's thread, are completely distant from each other, with no chemistry. Conversely, Willow and Tara keep exchanging sly glances. Buffy and Dawn retain their sisterhood, and Anya retains her fear of bunnies. This episode is exploring more than it seems, and in a season dealing with identity and disassociation, it is used to bring up the topic of what it means to be yourself, truly yourself, and all that it entails, accepting responsibility for the consequences of your actions. But the episode is also just flat out hilarious.
And I think I'm kind of gay.
And it all ends on, in my opinion, the strongest needle drop in the entire show.
The one thing that I tried to hold on to.
Tears. Every time. Honorable mentions for Season 6. Obviously, I need to talk about the Halloween episode in this season. It's the third Halloween episode in Buffy, and it's the last one, in a show that really should have had a lot more Halloween episodes. But anyways, sadly it just wasn't up to snuff in my opinion. It's fun seeing the vamp attraction is genetic, but the main story for it is severely lacking.
It's Halloween, you nit. We take the night off. We're rebels.
I really wanted to include some trio fun too, particularly Life Serial, seeing Buffy bounce around with the rest of the Scooby Gang as her attempts to be a normal person in school or with a job.
Come on, someone's got to stake me.
I'll do it. You thought I was just gonna let that lie there?
Gets foiled by the dumbasses. Or Gone, an episode where Buffy can eschew any kind of scrutiny from her friends and gets to fool around, literally, without facing any real consequences, culminating in her coming to terms a bit with being alive. And another one that's a bit of a personal pick is Double Meat Palace. Probably one of the most Monster of the Week episodes we've had in a while, and it's just fun for me.
We need to find out if it used to be people.
Older and Far Away, the episode where Dawn gets the gang all trapped in the Summers residence.
Uh-huh.
Not only being the only time someone can finish a game of Monopoly, but also forcing everyone to address their issues without being able to whoosh off somewhere. Very neat. Oh, Season 7. I do not like being negative. As we come to a close, we see Buffy at its highest stakes ever, as the big bad of the season intends to wipe out all potential slayers, and it's up to Buffy to lead the charge, not knowing who will or won't make it, while setting up the future. I do enjoy a lot of what's going on here, spreading of the Slayer power, Spike and Buffy dynamic really hitting the sweet spot, in my opinion. The Uber Vamps are cool as shit. A lot of character arcs also reach their fruition here, and I do kind of like the climax, capping off the tale of Sunnydale. However, there's also some serious character assassination, seemingly for the sake of tension. And for the most part, what made Buffy Buffy has been completely eradicated. Very few standalone episodes, and humor and levity is sorely lacking throughout, making for a super serious season that doesn't have a lot to offer in the bite-sized, joyous rewatch department. But I tried to pick at least 2 episodes per season, and there is one episode that frequents other lists, as well as one that's a bit more of a personal pick for me that I'd like to go over with you. Season 7, Episode 3. Same time, same place. After everything that happened in Season 6, Willow is told by Giles that she's ready to return back to Sunnydale, even though she personally doesn't feel like she's ready. At the same time, the gang is waiting at the airport for her, wanting to welcome her back with open arms and to treat her normally after everything that transpired. There's just one tiny little bit of a problem. They can't see each other. Like literally, they can't see each other. Willow is worried that her friends haven't forgiven her and don't want to see her, while Buffy and Xander worry about the possibility that she's gone rogue again. We follow as the Scoobies, separated, look for each other. Willow makes a somber return to the Summers residence, worsening her fears that they've shut her out, while Buffy, Xander, and Dawn arrive and call Giles, confirming that she was supposed to be on the plane. Meanwhile, a gnarly demon is on the loose. At the magic box, Anya is able to see Willow, where, along with being chastised, she gets info on where she could possibly find Buffy or Xander.
Like, what in the what meant?
Insane. Base.
Heading to the construction site, she discovers a flayed body, while the other Scoobs are also standing over it, still oblivious to Willow's presence, but very aware that it fits her MO. Willow then goes to the newly rebuilt Sunnydale High School, where she runs into Spike, who is currently insane.
What's that word means, Chloe?
Gotta run.
Poor, tormented William, but is also stringing along a conversation with two separate parties, until he realizes that someone is the odd one out.
Button, who's got the button?
Willow meets up with Anya, so far the only person not entirely insane that can still see her, and needing her help to find what did the flaying.
Will you help me?
Is it difficult or time-consuming?
They perform a spell to locate it. Meanwhile, Buffy has enlisted Spike's help in following the trail of blood from the construction site.
Maybe it's a vicious skin-eating rock cliff.
I'm insane. What's his excuse?
As the two parties intersect at a dangerous point, in the lair of Gnarl, a demon with paralytic capabilities that enjoys slowly skinning its victims and eating them alive. This, along with Hush, is another of the frequently mentioned episodes when it comes to strong single-serving little bads. And for good reason. Gnarl, portrayed by Camden Toy, is very fascinating. A phallic nose-having demon that feasts on human flesh, but prefers to do it while tormenting the victim for a very prolonged snack session. It's also a great point in time in Season 7 as Willow is reintroduced into the fold, exploring her fears of being rejected by her friends and worried that she's not ready to be trusted again. But at the end of the episode, everyone kind of says what's going on, and they come together, reinforcing the friendship between the core trio of the Scooby Gang. It also bolsters the horror chops of the Buffyverse and sports some humor as well.
If they get too close, I'm gonna have to run.
I really do love Anya. Season 7, Episode 16, Storyteller. We open up in a swanky little reading room with our host, Andrew, as he begins to tell us about a little story. A story about
Buffy, Slayer of the Vampires.
Before he is so rudely interrupted for hogging the commode in a house overflowing with more and more Slayer potentials.
Well, why can't you just masturbate like the rest of us?
As the gang is gearing up for their fight against the First. Andrew insists that what he's doing is important work, as people will want to know how things went down.
The world's gonna want to know about Buffy.
Later, attempting to give a brief overview of what's been going on with the Hellmouth and a certain seal.
Due to some circumstances, it got opened up a little bit.
Yeah, totally,
recently.
Andrew. Circumstances. Buffy heads into work at the school, noticing a very sharp increase in supernatural activity. A girl going invisible, lots of fights, some overheating.
I feel like I'm gonna explode.
And snarky mirrors.
The mirror said I was fat.
Like what?
Meanwhile, back at the Summers residence, Andrew continues filming. Or documenting, sorry. Reigniting the spark between Anya and Xander, helping Spike look cool and macho for the camera, and we also get evidence piece 3A in the case of Andrew being either homosexual or at least asexual when he looks past the two women making out on the couch to admire Xander's handiwork. Which, saying that, he kind of does have a thing for Xander.
I like that one.
Thank you, Xander. That's sweet of you.
With the Hellmouth acting up,
God, I hope that's not a student.
the gang decides they need to speak to the one who activated it. Andrew, wanting to figure out what he did exactly so that they can counteract it. They retrieve the ritualistic knife he used
In the kitchen in the cutlery drawer.
You put your old murder weapon in with our utensils?
I washed it.
and head to the school to try to quell the Hellmouth. I actually had a hard time picking which episode to end on for this. Do I leave it at same time, same place? What about conversations with dead people? Or what about throwing in Chosen, capping it all off from beginning to end? Yeah, the ending of this will probably change depending on how I feel, and honestly, the whole list might change based on my mood. Hell, it might even change while I'm editing. Or like right now in the voiceover phase of editing, where I wound up having only 8 days to edit the video, currently 6 days in with 2 days left, and care a lot less about what's at the end of the list and just want to be done with the video so that it's out in time for Halloween. Like right now, as I'm recording this, reading my script, and I'm saying to myself, I'm just going to put all the episodes in there anyway, and then just finish on whichever episode I feel like. That's a good compromise, but that's just life and the nature of things, always changing and evolving. It's neat, but yes, for this video and this discussion, I want to end on this episode. I think I've mainly picked this episode because of twink bias. I'm a huge fan of Andrew.
It eats you starting with your bottom.
and this mock-up of a list is sorely missing in Andrew Shenanigans, Shenandrewgans, if you will.
I like to think of myself more as a guestage.
I wanted so bad to include Life Serial or Gone, but ultimately they didn't fit in the episode, and now the illusion is broken for you too. Andrew isn't evil anymore, so this is when he starts to really endear himself to the Scoobs, and I find all that pretty fun. The episode is told mostly from his perspective, as if he were a documentarian filmmaker, crafting a record of events that will be passed down for generations for people to teach their kids about what happened in Sunnydale. He's delusional as fuck, but in a cute way. Plus, there's some genuine payoff for the character at the end of this episode. The theme here being storytelling, the name of the episode. Another word for lying. The entire episode, Andrew is making things seem grander than they are, or just straight up lying about events that took place. Buffy takes offense to this, because it's not representing things as they are. And the episode takes the time to talk a bit about how she feels.
This isn't some story where good triumphs because good triumphs. Good people are going to die.
Being in charge of all the potentials, the person everyone is looking to for a direction or an answer, when at the end of the day, she's just making things up as she goes along.
You said we could all get through this.
I made it up. I'm making it all up. So what kind of hero does that make me?
Storyteller takes a quick break from the incredibly high stakes of the final season and serves as a slice of life of the Slayer, the Scoobs, and the Potentials, as they gear up to face their maybe last apocalypse, with the lovable Andrew as our host. Honorable mentions for Season 7. Like I said, it's less so about which ones are great rewatches, singular or bite-sized or whatever, but more so how I wanted to end the list that had me rethinking what episodes should be included. Potential is a neat episode, exploring Dawn's troubles and not being selected and seeing her still rise to the occasion. Lies my parents told me, more so just for the love of Spike, and even those are a stretch. There are a lot of great moments in Season 7. The Andrew and Spike road trips, Buffy cuddles, Spike getting his mojo back, Dawn development, Willow, and so on.
Are you ready to finish this, bitch?
Wheelchair fight?
But not that many standout episodes, just passing scenes within them. I'll probably be throwing in Chosen in my personal playlist and then just deciding when to call it. Also, if you're curious, here's a roughly compiled Spike list. Do with that what you will. And so yeah, that basically does it for my list of Buffy episodes. More so intended to be viewed all throughout October alongside your movies. But we can further break this down by saying, here's the full list for the month of October. Here's what I'd choose for the week of Halloween. And then these are the episodes I'd choose for the day of Halloween. Yeah, the list kind of got a bit long-winded, but at the end of the day, this video was more so a vehicle for me to discuss why I think Buffy is a great show. In doing so, maybe getting some people to give it a shot, while also being able to share some of my favorite episodes with you for Halloween. Buffy with its structure really was a kind of blueprint for modern television. The focus on character depth and flourishing across both seasonal and series-long arcs, combined with its wonderful mix of horror, comedy, and drama, wrapped up with nuggets of bite-sized episodic entries, makes it continue to stand out, even today. A trendsetter for the modern serial format, one of the first TV shows to embrace an on-screen lesbian couple, a show that wasn't afraid to showcase its characters' flaws and treat them as human, a masterclass of the musical episode, as well as one of the most sobering and realistic depictions of loss and grief, all from a little supernatural TV drama. That although I haven't seen every horror-adjacent TV show ever made, to me, still hasn't been eclipsed, due to the love and care that it devoted to its characters, both the good and the bad, bringing with it some of the most impactful and realistic scenes. There is no doubt that Buffy the Vampire Slayer is an important and special show, but it's also a special show for me. I first discovered Buffy when I was hospitalized. During my first day in the hospital, I was uncertain of what was going on with me or how it would turn out. I was also bored, flipping through the channels for what felt like the first time in years when I stumbled upon Season 1, Episode 3, The Witch. An episode much like the ones we discussed today, full of camp, charm, and a significant theme at the center, as the Scoobs solved their first episodic supernatural mystery together, and hooking me entirely. Making this video kind of felt full circle in a way, a send-up of the type of episode that Buffy excelled at, and the type of episode that made me a fan.
Can I be blind too?
So, time for viewer participation. My Halloween tradition is throwing on movies. Some I've been watching for 20 plus years. Of course, the Friday the 13th marathon, and some movies I've just added along the way.
Do you like biscotti?
Now including some great Buffy episodes in the rotation. So I want to know, what's your Halloween tradition? What movies do you watch? And more specific to this video, what episodes of Buffy stand out to you for the holiday or just in general? I hope you've enjoyed going over some of the best Buffy episodes with me. Thank you for watching, and happy Halloween. I've been Hound. Later. It's not just a holiday. It's a time of year. It's a feeling. It's a memory. There are many reasons to love Halloween. But it isn't just one thing. It's everything. Looking incredibly confused.